We're going to get into your work on Shogun in just a few, but first, let's talk some TV topics. Remember, there's no pressure, there's no right or wrong answers. It's just a bit of fun. So, looking back over the years, what has been your relationship with TV? Were you like a TV junkie? You watched everything? Were you very selective? How did that
Hmm.
pan out for you?
I feel like I was a little selective. If I heard there were certain shows that were amazing, I would tune in. But if I watched one episode that didn't really click, then I would tune out. So I've been picky.
And you have a much more worldly perspective. You were all over the globe. So, did what type of shows did you watch? Did it change with the location?
I think I was always leaning towards like Western produced shows and films. I remember like growing up watching, well, I grew up watching the Disney Channel.
Of course.
And then I was watching Friends and things that were a little bit more for adults as well. And now I'm just loving things like The Bear, The Last of Us, like just very elevated, like good stories. Yeah, I'm always watching Western ones.
Excellent. We watch a lot in common. What primetime show is the one that you remember first really loving? Like the first one that really connected with you?
Ooh, what is a primetime show? Like a mainstream?
Friends would be, or like anything like the must-see TV, or now it's essentially The Bear or
Right.
anything that's
Well, I think yeah, the first one would probably be Friends. Yeah. And I still watch it to this day.
it's amazing how like universal that show is. That it seems like everybody I speak with, Friends gets dropped in. Everybody has a connection, and young and old. My daughters, uh, I'm much older than them, obviously, and I watched it, and my nieces who are like kind of between us, and this like generational, it gets passed on and one to the next.
Yeah, I mean, like you can watch it any time of the day as well. When you're happy, when you're tired, when you're sad, and I think that the relationships that they have they feel quite real. So, yeah, I loved and I still love Friends.
And besides Friends, is there one show that makes you laugh most?
I don't know. Hold on. Because Friends is very, very funny. What is a show that makes me laugh a lot? I can't think of anything at the moment. Do you have any shows that you can bring up?
I mean, I like What We Do in the Shadows, Curb Your
Oh,
Enthusiasm. Um, those
yeah.
are two that stand out.
What We Do in the Shadows is so funny. Yeah, that is one that I love. And also the movie. Have you seen the movie?
Oh yes, yeah.
Oh my God, I loved it.
It's amazing how like I didn't think they would be able to take that movie and turn it into a show and actually pull it off. And they not only pulled it off, they've expanded on it so much. It's just it's I mean, I think line for line is one of the funniest shows on TV.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine how it would be to shoot a comedy. Like I I don't see myself as good in that genre, but it must be so much fun and like also hard because like you're laughing at each other all the time.
You got to try it out.
Maybe.
And is there one TV character that you connect with most? Is there one that like or like that you remember like you started like you said you started with the Disney Channel? Was there one character that you latched onto? It could be any time though, but it doesn't have to be Disney.
Well, well, you know what? There's one character. So in Friends, I keep going back to it because it's just so iconic. My friends and I always talk about like who we would be, and everyone is like, "You're Monica." So I always was like, okay, that's definitely something that I would do. I would like open the cabinets, I would organize everything. I would react the same way that she's reacting in certain scenes. And so, yeah, she was someone that I saw myself in.
It's funny. I mean, I think everyone's done that too. I was Ross, which
Oh,
is
you were?
yeah,
I love
definitely some Chandler and definitely some Ross.
that. So we would be siblings.
Yes, siblings and neighbors. And on the opposite end of the spectrum from laughing, are you a crier?
Yes, I get like I'm either very, very happy or out of nowhere, I'm like crying. the other day I went into my agent's office and it was supposed to be like a fun meeting and everyone was, happy to kind of meet me or see me after a long time. And I just like started bawling my eyes out. It's so weird. I can't control it.
What was it? Was it just like the moment with the series and what's going on in your life, or like
Yeah,
hopefully
I
something
think they
good?
were, well, they were like, "How are you?" And I think I just started crying because, like, with all of what's happening with Shogun and how I'm feeling, it's sometimes good and sometimes bad, but like, it was just a lot of like emotions in the moment. And yeah, it was out of nowhere. And everyone was like, what is happening right now? Are you okay? And I was like, no, I'm
She's quitting the business. Oh no.
not.
She's changing careers.
Mhm.
So is there one show that made you cry most recently, or one show that like will consistently make you cry that you watch?
Recently, I feel like I really, really cried watching The Last of Us. Yeah, it was so like towards the end, when everything starts to get revealed and you're seeing Bella Ramsey is so amazing. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that one really hit me hard. What's another one? We're talking about shows specifically.
Anything TV, but I mean,
Okay.
it can be anything you want.
Yeah, no, The Last of Us.
Yeah, that one hit me several times. The opening is as a father, I saw my daughter in that character, and then even though I knew it was coming, I played the game. It crushed me. I watched it probably. I'm getting emotional now. I've watched it
Oh
several times, and I just see my daughters, and I'm like,
my
oh my
God.
gosh. And it really, that's what I'm like with. That's why I love TV is like to connect in so many different ways.
Yeah,
With
yeah.
through
And
laughter, through drama. It's
yeah,
like it's amazing how much it can connect with you.
right. And as a game player, because you have such high expectations when these things are being made, how did you feel watching it?
Oh, I think it was better than the game.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, they went in different places. They expanded some of the characters. The
You know what? You also, right now, I don't know what it is about you, but you're giving Pedro Pascal.
oh,
Have you
I'll
ever
tell my wife
thought
that.
that?
No, I've not. I've heard
Really?
the actor from the 300. That was the one I
Oh,
hear. Either that or Hugh Grant sometimes. Probably because
uh,
I stumble on my words and talk very fast and turn British.
who
Uh,
was 300? Gerald, is that Gerald Butler?
yes, yes.
Yeah. Ah,
Yeah, I was actually
nice. They're all amazing actors.
so one more, and then we'll get into Shogun. Is there a TV show that you watch that would surprise people? It could be like a guilty pleasure, or one that you maybe like you feel like you're the only one watching and no one's talking about.
Oh, I feel like whenever I watch things, I need to know that it's like worth my time. So I don't know if there's anything that I'm watching that people aren't talking about. Let me see. Uh, oof, I don't know. I can't think of anything. You know what? People don't know, but I haven't done this recently, but whenever I'm doing something very, very heavy, like when I'm doing Shogun, maybe I did it. Like I would go home and I would just want sound in the background. I'm not like sitting down and focusing on the TV. I'll just play a reality TV show.
Do you have one you go to? Like steady thing?
Um, what's the sunset?
Oh, the reality.
Selling Sunset.
There you go. There you go.
Yes.
Excellent.
I have probably played all of their seasons, and most of the time I can't remember what was happening because I'm not like sitting down, but it's very entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's good just you can tune out. You don't have to commit. You don't have to follow the emotional journey. You can just kind of like, all right, watch it. It's like a quick meal, like fast food,
Exactly.
essentially.
Yeah, and also like the houses are so beautiful.
Hmm. So we'll get back to the TV topics in just a few, but let's start talking about your beautiful, brutal, breathtaking, brilliant series that has everyone talking, FX Shogun. Um, but actually, I'm sorry, we can step back just a little bit. But what drew you to acting? Like, I'm curious, what took you from? I know that you did Annie on TV, and
Mhm.
the Fast and the Furious franchise, and several things in between, and a lot of singing. So what started that? What got the ball rolling?
Well, in Annie, I had so much fun, but I still wanted to become a singer. So I joined a music agency slash label in Japan, and they basically kind of trained me in singing, dancing. They gave me a couple acting lessons. It's very different from what you guys have in the US, but acting lessons, tap lessons, walking lessons, everything that you can think about, I probably like tried. And then we had a notice where they were looking for a Japanese girl around maybe like 15 years old who could speak English. And there weren't a lot of people that could speak English fluently and wanted to act. And so I went into the audition and I got very lucky. And they flew me to Berlin to shoot a movie called Ninja Assassin with James McTeague, who also did V for Vendetta. And the producers, the Wachowski brothers, now sisters,
Oh, wow.
also produced it. So I got there and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so much fun. Like it was completely different from, being part of Annie, which was more like a kids musical. And I was like, this might be the thing that I really, really want to do. Like I can see myself enjoying it and doing it. And people were like, you're doing great. So as a 15-year-old, I think I was like, okay, this is my new passion. I got back to Japan and told my team that this was what I really wanted to focus on. And they were like, okay, but we are more geared towards music. So let's just have you kind of stay for the music. And then so I couldn't pursue acting for a very long time. And, I was in a contract, I couldn't really get out of it. So at the end of 2018, that was like the earliest time that I could leave the group. That's when I was like, okay, I'm going to start from zero. I'm going to quit everything. I don't know how I'm going to make it, but something within me was like telling me, you got to do this. So I left. And then maybe like 2 months afterwards, my now manager contacted me.
Wow. And thank God you did, with not just this series, with Monarch and other work you've done. It's amazing. It's like to have the guts to take something that you can do and you already know it's working and say, hey, I'm going to follow that dream is really inspiring.
Thank you. I think when I was going through that, I realized how much courage you need to like quit something. And I didn't notice that. I felt like prior to that experience, starting something was like a big challenge, but leaving something that you've done for so long is like another thing.
Very, very true. It's kind of reminds me of your character a little bit, you know. Um, so the story told in Shogun is really it's captivating. It's everything that everyone's been saying. I was hoping to like it. By the first end of the first episode, I was like, give me more. I need to see more. And then I've been telling everybody and like all different ages about it online and family, friends. I'm wondering what was your reaction like when you first read that script, when you first, got to like really dive into it?
I I don't know when I first read the script that I had Mariko's whole arc, like her journey and how her story ends. So I remember like reading the first couple of episodes and just being like, this seems very big. And I wasn't really sure how people were going to be able to make it outside of Japan because it's so specific and you really need to kind of rely on the Japanese specialists and supervisors that have done this for years. So I remember having a little bit of hesitation, but knowing that Hiro was going to be producing it and he had a very like good team in Japan that I knew were flying over to Vancouver, I was like, okay, it's going to work. But it feels like this could either be very, very huge and amazing, or we can do a terrible attempt. So I'm so happy that it ended up being the better,
The former?
amazing, epic,
Yes.
yeah, the former one.
Yes, for sure. It's I mean, you're talking about having a Japanese artist and a production team. I'm sure that helped, convince you to take this role. But what else, that, you can speak up to that as well. But that and what else like drew you to it? Why did you say I have to do this role?
I I had a very good meeting with Justin Marks, our showrunner, and he basically kind of explained why he wanted to adapt it in his version. And learning that he like it just felt like he had so much respect for the Japanese culture and he wanted to do it right. And even just feeling that way, I felt was like a big step forward because a lot of times like people just kind of want to do it their way and they're not like that focused on the details, but it's the details that really matter. And I also love that he wanted to share the Japanese role characters' perspectives with the audience and have it be a little bit more like immersive so that we're not like distancing the viewers from the Japanese people. And also with Rachel involved, she's half Japanese, and I knew when I talked to her that she carried Mariko like she was her own mother. And Mariko's journey is just it's so special because she's also based on Hosokawa Garasha-san, who lived in 1600. And I wanted to do it right. Like I wanted to give her the respect that I could. And I knew that within Mariko, we would see so much of like the suffocation that Japanese women have been through and the the struggles that I still see within our women today. So yeah, I was like, this is something that needs to be told to the world.
That's wonderful. One of my favorite parts of this series, or one, qualities of the series, is how the small moments are so immersive, so like, you just get so wrapped up in them that, between America and Blackthorn, I literally forgot that there's like this impending threat and of war and doom surrounding them. And then when you dive in even further, you see that your character is just like this conflicted, on the outside, there's this, this version of her that people see, but there's much more. And the concept of the eightfold fence, which helps viewers understand that to some amount, but how she internalizes that pain and then she, pushes through all that she's dealing with. And you had me near tears at least a couple of times because so much of what is in her, you start to see before you know what's going on. You see it in your eyes. And she's both strong and she's tragic at the same time. So it's like, I mean, so I'm trying to get to a question, but I guess what I'm saying is, how challenging has it been to create this layered and complex character? It's not just, one flavor. There's such a wide depth of emotion and complexity.
I think that just doing my research on the character really, built her before we began, but also as we shot, like living in her shoes for 10 months, like her story was starting to affect me personally, and maybe the things that I was feeling as an actor in certain scenes, I would feel stuck because I felt like I needed to express more. I needed my emotions to be more visible to the camera, but then she's in front of her husband, so she has to keep it within herself. And like the entrapment that I was feeling maybe felt so real that I didn't really have to try too much. Um, Rachel Kondo played such a huge part in bringing her to life, and she shared this beautiful story about her grandmother to me. And that was a time that I was trying to figure out, like, how is she able to be a Catholic and also a samurai? Because they're like very on opposite sides.
Mhm.
And learning about her grandmother really helped me kind of make that part of Mariko real. I wasn't really confused about it anymore. It was like, okay, so when she was about to give up on life, some someone um, someone held their hand out, and that happened to be a Catholic priest. So it could have been anything, but that's what saved her, and that's why she hangs on to it. And so, little things like that really helped me just bring her to life. And I don't know. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, sure. Did you read the book, or did you have any knowledge, or did you just stick to what you were given for this series?
Before we started shooting, I did read the book, and it took a long time to get to Mariko's story, but it really informed me of like what we were basing her on. But also, I wanted to focus on the scripts that we had, just because like we're not taking everything from the book, and there were things that we were tweaking. And it was written by James Clavell, but this time I wanted to approach it from like a Japanese woman's point of view, because that could be very different. And like it kind of goes back to what we were talking about prior to this, but it, like the suffering that she has, I think it was easy to channel, because I still feel like Japan is way behind when it comes to like equality for women. um it's something that I've seen in so many people in Japan, and so it's unfortunate that I can like really relate to her in that way, but yeah, I wanted to focus on that. So I talked to Rachel and Callan and Eriko and the women around me that I felt knew what it feels like to be in that position.
And toward the later parts of the series, Mariko's path takes some unexpected turns, and soon she's begging to end her life, which was really powerful and unsettling. And I, did not see. I guess I could see, the pain, but I thought, no, she's going to push through. And then to see that was just very very emotional moment. What drives her to those extremes? Like, I know it's different. The suicide is different, uh, kind of a cultural thing. That it's out of honor and such. But what takes her there beyond what we know, like see on screen? Like what inside of her takes her there?
Did I just see a cat?
You probably did, yes.
Oh my God. Wait, that's so cute. I saw the cat's hand just reach out to the door and they exited. That's adorable. Hi,
Hi.
who are you?
Oh, shit. This is
Did you
Tinker.
call her Emma? Tinker. Oh my God,
Tinker.
Tinker. Tinker. Oh my
Her Tinker
gosh.
toy.
Oh my goodness. I love it. Yes, we got sidetracked, but what were we talking about?
About her looking for permission to end her life.
Well, in episode nine, we're talking about episode nine or prior to.
8.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. So then, okay. I believe that Mariko is just so lost in that moment. Like she sees that she's not being able to fulfill her duties, and she is being questioned as well. And it seems that she's not useful. And I think that, the whole thing that she's looking for is like serving her Lord. But if she's unable to do that, even when she's, trying to like be an interpreter and like do all her roles, like she feels that maybe she's better off like just committing suicide. And so I think it's just that moment of like, I'm so sorry, like I'm unable to do this for you. You should just release me from this role. But then, you know, she realizes that no, like the Lord is asking for her to kind of, and the Lord does see that she can do so much more and he needs her. So she continues on. But I think for a moment there, like she gets lost. It's all like the familial and the cultural and the religious stuff all kind of combined and conflicting one another and not being able to balance all three elements in the way that she wishes she could.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed it. Is at the end of 8, I believe, where her husband decides he wants to kind of change the setup, and she's like, "No, not today, not ever. Goodbye." And you're like, "Okay, obviously we never wanted her to take her own life, but to have that moment, that powerful moment to stand up and be herself to everybody out there, and not hide behind tradition and such. It was amazing.
Yeah, I think people kind of forget, because like the words that she does speak is very harsh, but he is very abusive. Like it's not the scene that we see in, is it episode 5? That's not the first time that he's hit her, and he's also um abusive to the son, and so I think she's just like, wow, like you really don't understand. And like for someone who doesn't understand, she has to like tell them clearly that that's not the way that things are going to go. Also, the death that he's asking for serves no purpose, and she is willing to make sure that if she is dying, like she wants to do it for a greater cause.
There's so much on this series that creeps up on you that you're like, okay. I mean, there's so much. There's twists. There's betrayals. There's all these moments that like, just when you think you kind of got the hang of where you're going, you either learn something new about the characters or hold your breath. Like the moments you're like, wait a second, is this really going to happen? Most TV shows play it safe and or series, and this does not. It's like endlessly taking risks, which makes the experience all that much better.
I know. And also, I find it so funny that like every episode that comes out, like people are like, oh, we hate this character now. Actually, no, we hate this one, because like things are like changing all the time. It's so funny how people are reacting to it.
Yeah, there's certain characters too that you're like, I want to like this character, but every time I think he's kind of turned the corner, he shows he's a jerk again. It's like
Yeah.
I'm wondering where we're going to stand, where I'll stand on all of them after once this all concludes.
Episode
So
10. Mm.
2 episodes to find out. Um, Beyond the emotional uh, demands, there were physical demands. Can you talk about your spear work and other things that went into bringing this role to screen beyond the acting?
Yeah. I mean, I had to learn a lot, not just like the sphere stuff. It was like just how to walk and how to sit and how to hold a teacup and how to bring it to your mouth. Like everything was new to me. So that kind of physicality went in. The spear work was a little bit more familiar to me because I had done a little bit of training prior to this show, and then we had so much training at like the boot camp as well. And that stuff was very, very fun for me. But I think the more subtle stuff, like staying in a kimono for hours and hours a day and doing that for 10 months in the rain in Vancouver, like it was a lot. And I was pretty happy when I got to take it off. Like it's such a beautiful garment, but like it's quite heavy too.
How much do you think it weighs?
I have no idea, actually. That's a good question. I don't know how much it weighs, but I can tell you that I had like probably 7 layers of clothing, but also it wasn't just seven because like you would wrap a very long cloth around you. So that would end up being like 2 layers for one piece. So yeah, it was a lot. But then there's also like the hakama that we wear, which is very comfortable compared to the kimonos. And when you see me riding a horse, I was wearing a hakama. So I loved every scene that you see me wearing one of those pant looks.
To wear that kimono, that must affect your posture and everything too. So it, like was it made where you can relax, or was it made was it more truly traditional where you're
Yeah, they tried to make it a little less restrictive. Like they would put just like a collar for 1 layer, but still I was wearing, 7. And yeah, it was not comfortable. Like I can't sugarcoat it. I remember like for emotional scenes or like certain days of the week, I would be like, can you just wrap it around a little looser so that I have a little bit more um, space so that I can try to slouch a little bit.
and people are like, oh, that must be Friday. She's kind of looking sloppy today. She's just letting it loose.
Exactly.
Dress down Fridays. Uh,
Yeah.
what does it mean to you knowing that through your work, it's not only entertained so many people, but you're probably inspiring a lot of people as well. You know, has your family reacted or friends, you know, and to what they've seen?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of my mom's always just, like take care of yourself. I hope like, you're just having fun, all that stuff. But my friends have been like, you didn't tell me it was going to be this big. And I'm like, we didn't know. Like we really had no idea that people were going to be talking about it in the way they are right now. So it's been so lovely. Um, yeah. And all my family members are very, very happy for me. So I'm just happy that, what we loved doing, something that meant so much to us, is being received in this way.
And do you think it's starting conversations that you'd like it to start?
I think so. I mean, I don't know what every single person is saying about the show. I'm sure that some people
Mhm.
are like, it's,
Yeah.
it's not my cup of tea.
Some people are
But
broken. No matter what you give them, they're going to
yeah,
complain about it.
yeah, you can't please everyone. But I think that for the most part, people are very invested in it, and like they're showing a lot of interest in our culture. Like they're looking up after the tea ceremony scene. I saw comments being like, I had to look it up. They're doing this type called um omotesenke, and like just the details that people are like paying attention to. It's so lovely. And I feel like once something like this happens, like it'll really open doors for more Japanese storytelling. So that's like the biggest thing.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I always say, you know, it's a cliche at this point, but the uh, entertainment, TV and film are like an empathy machine and allow you to people who don't get out and who live in their sheltered little worlds get an access. And if they are open, they keep their hearts open and their minds open, you know, how much just a TV series can change and change, maybe just even if it's a way you interact with one person that day or the
Mhm.
way you are online, you say, I'm not going to post this because that's nasty. You know, like I start to see things different.
Yeah,
I think series like this have that power and it's wonderful to see. And when you have put so much into a role like this, will it forever be a part of you? Do you think it's changed you?
I think so. Yes. I feel like I have let Mariko go, but especially with the release of episode 9, I was like, okay, this is like my final let go moment. And it's so funny because I was talking to some of the people who created the show, and we were talking about how the sakura petals are now starting to fall, and it's so Mariko of her to, to be released at this time. Um, so I have let her go, but I think that I'll always carry this whole show within myself just because it meant so much and it really taught me a lot about myself, about what I want to do and the people that I want to work with. Like this truly was like a dream team, and the story was amazing and the character is just so heartbreaking and so important to me, and so she'll always be a part of me.
That's awesome. I mean, I think it's great that to experience something like this so young, so the bar is set so high that you are going to pursue bigger and things that match your standards and create higher standards for other people going forward through the projects you take on. And it's great when something when good wins, you know, and like you, okay, we did something that's better than not just like a simple entertainment and not at the expense of our you know, my what's the word I'm looking for? Like any kind of moral or you know, no compromise. It's just go out there and make the best thing and feel pride in what you've done.
Mhm. Yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to wrap up. If you want to say something, I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I feel so lucky that I was able to be part of such an epic, amazing, loved show, to work with these amazing people and to give my version of Mariko to the world.
Well, thank you for it.
Hmm. Thank you.
Um, well, I'm going to wrap up with a few quick questions, the last TV topics. I know we're short on time, so I'll try to be quick. Um, you pick up your remote control, a genie comes out, grants you one wish. He says, you can have one more season of a show you love. It can be an added extra season, like you know, an 11th season after the 10 that were already made. It can be something in the middle to tell, like expand on a series season you like, or it can be even like a prequel. same cast. It doesn't matter who, how much time has passed. If it's I Love Lucy, it's still the same cast. This is not like AI. So what series would you choose and why?
Shogun.
Oh, really? I've heard
I
people
would
say
say
online. Go ahead.
I would say Shogun because I don't know if I'm allowed to spoil it, but like obviously, Mariko's story has come to an end. But oh my God, like it would be a dream if we could, kind of dive deeper.
Like in between like episodes, like would you pick episodes you'd like to explore? Well, it's kind of a, it's a shorter timeline, but is that what you'd like to do or go back before and like make a prequel where you explored her life even more?
I I'm not a writer, so I don't have a great idea yet. But maybe it'll be a prequel, maybe no, like this is so unrealistic. Like it's never gonna happen, and that's why I say it. But it's just like if like I miss Mariko so much that like how wonderful would it be if we could see a little bit more? It's just like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
I've seen people online saying, I don't want this to end.
Mm.
So, you made the right choice. If the genie does show up, make that wish and ask for a big number. Let's get like another 20 episodes at least.
Okay.
Okay, excellent. Um, and then, of course, you worked with a big, tall, growling beast that seems to smash through everything in its way. So, which on-screen partner is tougher to work with, Godzilla or Blackthorn and Cosmo?
I love Cosmo. He he is just so invested in the character. You can tell that he's all about the story and the characters. And so he was he was easy to work with in that way. Like I received so much from him, and I would never ask for it to have been any different. And so Godzilla was more difficult because I didn't know how he was going to look exactly. We were, looking at an imaginary version, and so he was much tougher.
And congrats on season two, the renewal.
Thank you.
I watched it with my daughter when I was watching Shogun. She's like, that's she's from Monarch. I go, yeah,
No
good eye.
way. Aw.
Yeah. I said, now get out of the room because there's beheadings and
Yes.
nudity and a lot of other things you
Yes.
shouldn't be watching, maybe in a few years. Uh, okay, I do have to wrap, but how about a current favorite TV show?
Current favorite TV show. Um, The Bear season 2 was amazing. What's playing right now?
It can be anything
What's
in the
playing?
last year or so. Oh,
I loved True Detective season 4. I think Jodie Foster is so amazing, and yeah, it's a heavy one, but I really like those heavy dramatic ones. So yeah,
yeah.
highly
Anything Jodie
recommend.
Foster is worth watching, and she really nailed it on the whole team nailed it on that series.
Absolutely.
All right, last one. If you could live in one TV show, popping in and out whenever you do, whenever you want, so you can open a door and walk into this world and come back to your life uninterrupted, what show would you like be able to go and visit whenever you want?
Wait. Ooh, I don't know. It would not be any of my favorite TV shows because they are too dark. And I want to keep living and I want to have a happy, happy life. Maybe it would just be like friends. Like how fun. How fun would that be to just have friends like Rachel and Monica and Phoebe and like get together, drink coffee together. Yeah, definitely friends.
Just hanging out on the couch with like having these pointless conversations and experience growing up, or kind of like the all the chapters of life, but through six great friends
Yeah, that would be amazing.
and lots of coffee. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your work. I think people are going to talk about this for years to come. So congrats on that.
I mean, if that really does happen, I couldn't be happier. But yeah.
It was great
Thank
seeing you again.
you. Thank you, Stephen. Talk to you soon.
When we finished, I had only watched up to episode 8. So later I think it was that evening, I watched 9, and
Mhm.
you should have warned me about that. I wasn't ready. It was completely devastating, and I'm like, this is an incomplete conversation. I need to speak to you again. So thank you for taking the time.
Right. Of course.
So my question, what was it like for you watching that episode? it hit a lot of people hard. What was it like for you to watch?
I feel like watching it, even though when we were shooting it, it was very liberating to finally be able to just say certain things and actually physically do things. I felt very good shooting that episode, but watching it made me feel very emotional because of every like knowing her journey and sometimes remembering how I felt in certain scenes and knowing where Mariko was going. Like it's just like such a powerful arc. And it was just a lot of mixed emotions from feeling good about the character and feeling sad um, for the character, feeling frustrated because of playing the character, and like I can't put it into like one sentence what I was feeling.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean it's a lot. It's a lot to process, and then you get the whole next episode, which I'll get into shortly, but which makes those feelings even more complex because I don't think it's, it's very much shades of gray. It's not anything you can like put a pin in and say, okay, that's it. And as we start the series, it seems like this is, Blackthorn or Tornaga's story, but as we get closer to the end, it's very much Mariko's story. And even after her death, her actions are like a stone that creates a tidal wave. Um, and as you were talking about empowering people, it must be an honor for you to play such an empowering character. I was wondering if you could talk about how you feel about that now that
Oh,
it's all out there.
yeah, for sure. I think that for me, just taking part in this show meant I was doing something for the women in my community. I didn't want to perpetuate the 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 what is it, the image of women, Japanese women being submissive and just cute, not saying too much, or um, being just the sexy figure, or just the one that does a lot of fighting, somehow knows how to wield a sword, even though that's not really part of her background, things like that. No, like, so to be able to play a character who didn't rely on any of those elements, who wasn't just the romantic like romantic other to the male character, like she's not defined by any more about what she is, what her story, like what her history is, the relationship that she has with her father, why she's able to stay so strong in a community oppressive, and then she gets the permission to really take action, and she's fulfilling, you know, her needs, her lord's needs, and avenging her family. And so all of that just felt like it was the most um, uh, like it was the most what is it like there was so much depth to her that I hadn't seen in other portrayals of our women. And it just feels so lovely because then I'm getting, you know, people come to me being like, this has really opened up my eyes. I was doing press and I was able to talk to Japanese girls who were in the States, and they were like, I'm so happy to see this portrayal. I feel like it's a reflection of myself. And even older women who were like, oh, I didn't even know that I was internalizing all these stereotypes and kind of answering to that image. And this is giving me courage to not think about all that stuff. And so I don't know, it's just, I'm so grateful that Justin and Rachel came up with this version of her.
Yeah, it's amazing just to see how much it touches people. So without her courage and wisdom, so many things would have ended differently.
Yeah.
So do you feel she leaves at peace in the end? Is there still, how torn is she? And
I think she leaves in peace because I don't I think that she knows the impact that what she's doing will have is immense, and that her lord has this vision for his country. And she knows that he's going to he's trying to do something that's very, very big and impactful, and that includes the people that she loves, the people like her son, and the people that she really cares for, like Blackthorn. And before she does decide to go fulfill her whole plan, um, she goes to Alvido and asks for him to spare his Blackthorn's life. And so like she's thinking about what's going to happen afterwards as well. But even though she will be gone, she believes that all of this is for a greater cause.
Could you ever make the decision she makes?
I mean, the world that we live in is so different. People are not taking their lives um to serve anyone else. And so I don't know if in this circumstance I'd be able to do it, but I hope that I'm able to I don't know what it is, but I hope that I'm able to have somewhat of an impact on other people, and not just myself and just my family, but like do something for a bigger group throughout my life. I don't know what it is, but and it's so small compared to Mariko, but she's definitely made me think about like what am I trying to do with the time that I have.
Yeah. But truly, though, sometimes it is the pebble that creates the tidal wave. It's something,
Right.
your contribution that starts that ripple effect. So
Yeah.
maybe you're going to change a mind or a heart that is going to change the world.
Right. Could happen.
It's always good to put positivity out there and then put those that shed that light on that instead of the negative. So I'm curious if you had a favorite scene besides your scenes. When you watch this, were there scenes that really really hit you and really connected?
Obviously, episode 8 with Hiromatsu. I think that's probably the most powerful scene, because we all really don't know what's going on in the moment. It's only later on that we find out that this was all part of the plan. And just the loyalty and that friendship, the connection that they have, the bond, it's so strong. And I can't watch that scene. I've watched it many times, but I can't watch it without shedding a tear. That's my ultimate favorite.
Definitely, her actions change quite a bit, not just in her life, but affect so many others. How do you think, what do you think the path would be, or what do you think the end result would be if she never had met Blackthorn?
Oh, that's such an interesting question. I haven't even thought about it. What would it have been if she hadn't met Blackthorn? I think that she would have always looked for ways to serve her lord. But without Blackthorn, that means she wouldn't have been a translator, which means she wouldn't have really been in the room with Toranaga-sama as often. It would have been totally different. I can't even answer it, because I truly believe that you meet certain people in your life that at the right time you're meant to meet those people. You're meant to walk the path in the way that you are walking it. It's like it's fate, right? And so I don't even know if there's a version of her not meeting him. Like that's her shukume, which is fate in Japanese.